All right. Welcome back to another episode of Heroes and Men. I got another professor from HU, Hustlers University 2.0, Andrew Bass. He's the copywriting professor, and he's schooling us on how to make a lot of money on the internet. So it's good to have him, Andrew. How you doing, bro?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me, Laris.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for coming through. I just to give you some background in terms of what this channel is about. Basically, I'm trying to resurrect the archetypes of manhood, going back all the way to antiquity, and I try to bring guys on that are, in my opinion, that represent really the pillars of manhood. You're a very successful guy in your realm. And I think that a lot of the stuff that you have to offer is very valuable in terms of financial freedom, giving guys the opportunity to have options in their lives and not just I guess choices. That's what Arnold said to me. Arnold is another. Obviously, he's another professor in HU 2.0 for the viewers that haven't seen him. And yeah, man, I've been in Hustlers University 2.0 now for a few months, and I got to tell you, man, everything that you've taught us has really opened my eyes to the possibility out there. And so I appreciate you, and I appreciate everything that all the knowledge you've shared with us. So.
Thanks, Laris. You're a good student. You pay attention. You listen to the lessons in there, and you've started to see some pretty amazing results. It's been fun to see how you've progressed as time has gone on. So
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. It's funny, man. I came from an artistic background. I'm an actor, film, theater, whatever. I've had some success in it, but the one thing that was always bothered me is how little control a lot of actors really have over their career. It's rough, and I think a lot of the people that are in our I should say sphere, there it seems like there are a lot of the same type of guys that are attracted to what it is that you're doing, but also Hustlers University, Andrew Tate, guys that want to seek financial freedom. They want to be free. They want to control their own destiny. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, you're asking like the people that are interested in like Hustlers University, the people that joined there, or the people who are looking for freedom, who are looking for a way to step forward into a new version of themselves. Is that what you're asking?
Right. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It's deep. It resonates with who we are as humans, especially as men. Like,
yeah.
As men, we're born in this world. We want to find a way to control our future and to build something great and amazing. It's what we've been doing since the dawn of time, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, it makes a lot of sense for people to gravitate towards a place where they can learn how to make money and how to control some options, how to become relevant in the financial realm of things and be able to move forward and do amazing things. So yeah, we track those type of people like crazy.
And
which is great because those are the kind of people I like working with. So keep going.
Yeah, the guys are fun, man. There's some degeneracy in the chats for sure, which is great. It makes it fun.
It's natural, right? Like if we're taking this back to like archetypes of man, dude, that's what we do. We fight the mammoth. We will kill the mammoth and we sit around the fire after we gorge ourselves and we joke about how he slipped and he tells us about, oh yeah, but this and that. And I was able to do this. And dude, I saw the look on your face when it came around the corner. I'm pretty sure there's a dribble down the leg. Like we chide each other, we joke, we play. That's what men do. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's what we're supposed to do, but it's funny. A lot of that stuff is dissuaded now in our society, which is kind of rough, man. Because like male spaces are important for men to like sort of figure out where we rank, how good we really are, whether or not we're good at all. You know what I mean? And we need to be sort of around other men to test ourselves and to find out, and also to find out how weak we are and to see like where we have to work. And that's what I love about the organization. That's a lot about what you teach, and a lot of the professors is you're there to help us, but you're also there to make us stronger as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kindest thing I can do, right? Is be clear and direct and help people. If I didn't care about people, I'd beat around the bush and be all quiet and not call people out. But I'm here to help people. I really want people to grow and improve. And if I really want that, then I've got to be clear and honest with them. I mean, sure, I'm going to do the best I can to make sure it's received as well as possible, so they actually change. But yeah, I'm gonna let people know that's what actual like. If you actually care for somebody, that's what you'll actually do for them. Right. If you don't care about somebody, sure, you'll avoid the tough conversations or the feedback that they need to hear. But I care about people. That's what HEQ is about. We're here to help people, not just like sell a product.
Yeah. So is this the first time you've taught in this capacity?
As taught copywriting, I've taught copywriting to some of my war room brothers before. We moved into HU2, but yeah, this is the first time I've at this scale for sure. This is definitely the biggest group of students I've taught copywriting to for sure.
And what were some of the sort of the I guess the not learning curves, but sort of the growing pains that you had to go through as a teacher?
As a teacher, As a teacher, a big part of it became, so I've taught a lot one-on-one and in person. That's where I've done most of my teaching. So moving that to a one-to-many model and scaling the my instruction where I'm talking to a room of 300 students when we're on one of our random trainings that we do, or one of our live random trainings, and putting together materials in a way that scales my knowledge out to help multiple people at once. That's sort of something that's a new hurdle I've gone through with this particular project. Like with copywriting, I've never created course material or stuff like that before to teach this particular skill set to this many people at once. So learning curve, yeah, it was kind of fun to figure that out. And like I was telling the guys today on I was talking to some of the guys, like, well, it's time for me to burn down all the stuff we did for the previous tutorial and build a new one, because I came up with some better ideas the other day. So here we are. It's a continuous process, just building a better delivery vehicle to get people getting clients faster, get results faster, and get making money faster, change their lives faster.
Right. Yeah. Right. So take me back. Where are you from?
I grew up in a little tiny town northeast of Houston, a place called Cut and Shoot, Texas. Yeah. 1,000 people in the town, great place. Yeah.
So where's your accent, man?
So that's the thing, right? Like I grew up, my dad is from there. My mom is from Utah. So I grew up in like a half-breed house when it comes to like the accent stuff. Yeah. When I'm around I'm actually going to visit some of my family here in the next couple of weeks. So my accent will come back for a little bit and then it'll go away. I've lived outside of Texas for so long that I've been able to kind of drop some of the southern drawl and twang out of it and just speak.
Is it one of the, go ahead?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
No, is it one of those things, like I know a lot of people from areas with like thick accents, especially from the South, and like it comes out when they get pissed or when they get drunk?
So I don't drink, so I don't know how it might, but it comes out for me when I'm around my family. Like, so when I go back to my family, or I'm on the phone with my family, pretty quickly I drop back into my old rhythms of speech and stuff like that. It's not terribly drastic. I never had a really strong, deep, like Forrest Gump kind of accent or anything like that. But yeah, the accent, it comes back out when I'm around, like, say, my Uncle Jim or something like that. We sit around talking. Next thing I know, my accent comes back a little bit. But yeah, it fades away in the background when I'm here, normal life, doing normal stuff.
Nice. Did you play football out there?
No, I didn't. That's why they kicked me out of Texas. They're like, you don't like football. I don't really follow football, so they said you have to get out of the state. So no, I didn't play football. I ran track in high school. I grew up boxing though. My family boxed quite a bit. Nice. So I grew up training with my dad, a couple of uncles, Uncle Jim, a bunch of other people. We had a family boxing gym for a while. I trained there for a long time. I never really competed in a lot of tournaments or had a professional career like some of my uncles and cousins did. But yeah, didn't play football. No football for me. Yeah.
That's odd, man. I mean, I know I grew up in South Florida. Football is pretty huge down there, but in Texas, it's like a religion.
It's the religion. Yeah, and so here's the thing. Like I probably would have, but I'm an average size guy. I'm like 5'10". Like 5'10". Right now I weigh 180, 185 pounds, right? But back when I was in high school, I was 5'10" and I weighed 135 pounds. I was a stick. Oh, wow. And we had some big, huge dudes on the football team. I had a friend of mine who played football. He's about my same size. And like 2 weeks in, he got tackled and his forearm literally snapped in half. So he had like his just completely snapped in half. This big 250-pound dude like tackled him, crunched his arm, and he had to have surgery. And I was like, well, that would have been me. So it was just a weight class difference. It was like, I'm going to go over here and do things where I can do, I'm not going to get crushed by a 250-pound, 6'6", 17-year-old kid, So
right.
That's one of the main reasons I didn't do it. But, over time, I filled back in. I'm a normal sized dude now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things, man. It's like football's a great sport. I think every young man should do some sort of contact. I trained in MMA and Muay Thai and stuff like that. And so I know how important that is, but it's kind of, if you're not going to do it professionally, it's kind of it's a rough thing to do, man. You can get hurt real quick, man. Real easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for my sons, I'm going to encourage them to do, I mean, obviously they train with me now at this stage, but I mean, they're little, they're like 4 years oldest, so they're young, but I'm definitely going to lean like boxing, Muay Thai, combat sports, individual combat sports are where I'm going to try and guide them into, because I feel like that's what they're going to get the most value out of as they grow as young men. But
yeah, I mean,
contact's important. Men need it. I crave it. If it's been a couple weeks before, since I've had some hard sparring or some good drilling, I crave it. I need it. I got to have it.
So how many days a week do you train now?
Days a week do I train? I train every day, every single day.
Really?
I'm either doing like an intense kettlebell workout or I'm doing some advanced drilling. I did 2 hours of drilling last night, mostly footwork and a few other things. I got one of my buddies in the war room helping me dial in some stuff. So yeah, every day I do take a break on Sundays. I mean, I'll mix in some things here and there. I'll just do some light kettlebell work or some bodyweight stuff. But yeah, I do have one rest day a week, I guess. So yeah, 6 days a week.
That's great, man. Yeah, man. That's one of the things I missed about, I kind of had to choose. I was on a fight team for like a day, and having a messed up face doesn't really look good on camera. So I had to kind of make that choice, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could go the Jason Statham route and just be the stud, right? Just ugly looking dude, just that you don't want to mess with the G. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah. Occupational hazard.
Yeah. Occupational hazard. No, but I'm definitely looking to get back into it, man, for sure. Because I miss it terribly.
Good.
But so how'd you get into copywriting?
How I get into copywriting? So I grew up. So once I professionally, I worked in sales for a long time, like appointment setting and like some low level sales stuff as far as like digital SaaS product stuff. Did that for a while. It wasn't until I actually got in the war room that I actually like dove 100% into copywriting. So really? I was working for myself. It was like right before coronavirus. I started basically a little agency where I was doing cold email outreach for different marketing agencies, actually helping them promote their services to different people. And I was just getting off the ground. I was just starting to make some good money with it. And COVID hit. And the main niche, or one of the main companies I was working with, they helped drop shipping companies that were shipping products out of China. So they dried up completely during the whole supply chain stuff during COVID. And the thing I was doing completely dried up. And that was right about the time I joined the war room, and I met, there was one of the guys in there who was just starting out on copywriting. Guy I met, and he gave me a little bit of tips about what he was doing. I learned a little bit about that, and then I just dove in completely, madly obsessed. Just like if I was awake, I was working and thinking about copywriting for a long time. Still am, pretty much. So
you've been doing it a couple of years now, consistently. This is the only thing.
Yeah, about 2 years now. Yeah.
Wow, man.
It seems like a long time and a short time at the same time. It's odd. Yeah.
So you've progressed that quickly in that short amount of time.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that you attribute that to the stuff that you were doing before, or just like you just went balls to the walls with it?
Yes, all the above. So like before, I was in sales, and I was actively trying to learn as much as I could about sales and persuasion, and marketing had a lot of bleed over into that. Right. So I understood a lot about how humans work. One thing about me, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, like people call us Mormons, right? So I did a 2-year mission trip to Mexico City for 2 years. I spent 2 years working with people and helping them shift their beliefs and take massive action in their life, right? So I spent every waking moment for 2 years helping people, persuading people to take positive action, right? So it's been something I've been kind of focusing on for quite some time. And when I dove into copywriting, obviously I had a pretty good understanding of human psychology, and that helps a lot. I had a pretty good understanding of persuasion. But yeah, it still took a significant amount of action and hard work and investing in myself to get to the point where I am now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your mindset is like that's the thing that always, all the guys in there, man, all the professors in there, like their mindset is just, when I was talking to Arnold, the dude just blew my mind. We were only talking for like an hour and 15 minutes. And I would imagine that's probably what that's the experience everybody has in the war room. We're talking to the guys that are in this organization.
Yeah. For sure. Arnold's a stud.
So prior to you going into the war room, prior to you doing this stuff, what was your mindset like? Like what were some of the frameworks, the mental models that you had, and what was the difference between those and the model that you have now?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I haven't been back to that version of my mind in a long time. So before, I had always sought to be disciplined and work hard, and I always sought to be successful. Something I always wanted. I studied entrepreneurship at the time, like when I went to university for a little bit before I dropped out. Always, like I tried several times to launch business in the past. I had done so successfully. I tried to train and build brotherhoods in the past. Like there were things I wanted, but I didn't know how to get them. And there was, obviously go through the world, and the world programs you, right? It gives you these sort of limiting beliefs that keep you distracted, or they keep you from really understanding how the world really works, how you as a man really works. So when I came across Tate, learned a lot about his mindset, his worldview. Like obviously, when you come across somebody who has more success than you in different areas of your life, right? Who objectively done more, 4 times world kickboxing champion, multi-millionaire, obviously very successful with women, a bunch of really great things. And you look at him, and you have 2 options, right? You can say, like this guy is a terrible person, blah blah blah. I hate this guy or whatever. That's the easiest thing to do, right? Because it's just a little bit of mental gymnastics, and you can move back to your comfort zone. Or you can say, no, wait a second, I'm committed to becoming the best version of myself as possible. There's a pretty good chance this guy can teach me something, right? So I started consuming every piece of material I could about him, joined the war room as soon as I possibly could. And one thing about myself that I've always had, and this is before and after, and it's probably the key attribute that I would attribute all my success to, is I am ruthlessly committed to becoming the best version of myself possible. Right? I believe that we all have the divine imperative to become as godlike and as competent and as, I guess, powerful as possible. Right? I've always had that belief, and I've always had that drive. So it just becomes a question of like, am I willing to pay the price to do so? Which, as I've joined the war room, learning more about that, learning better strategies for this, I can't even go in. I mean, there's so much we do inside there. There's so many tools and resources you have to just shift your brain that, yeah, it's 2 years. I feel like, oh, cool, I've progressed a lot in 2 years, but at the same time, it's like, well, there's a lot more I can do or could have done probably those 2 years with the stuff I have. It's unreal. Yeah.
I mean, that's a central Judeo-Christian principle.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back even to the Greeks and stuff like that, there's a reason all of those heroes were demigods, right? They were half God, half human. Jesus Christ, the icons and the models that we're supposed to actually
Achilles,
all those. Yeah. I mean, I think it's part of the reason why people are trying to do away with that and sever modern people from those models. Because if you realize that you are the godlike being, you are the thing that creates your world, it makes for dangerous people. You know what I mean? They can't be controlled. They can't be.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously there's like, there are certain powers that be that are incentivized to minimize that in people, right? And I think it's going to blow back on them eventually. But I'm not here to really speculate that much. I've got all I need to live a wonderful life and make a wonderful life for my family and my brothers, and I'm happy to do so. Yeah. Let the rest of everyone else do what they want to do.
You know what?
I'm too busy having fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, you can't change the world, man. You can't. You only have so much power, right, and so much influence in your own life. So, what historical figures have influenced you?
Historical figures that have influenced me. Number one, primarily Genghis Khan, hands down. Genghis Khan.
That's a good one.
No, really, really like Genghis Khan. I found a book, an old book. It's like written maybe the 1920s, 1930s. I got it on Audible because I was trying to find a good one about him. I knew I'd learn a lot from him, but I had to find one I knew that wasn't going to be all super politically correct or whatever. So I found one from back in the 1920s that was written. That man had a really good set of beliefs about himself, and he had a really good overall strategy and ability to see the future and create it. I really like Genghis Khan. A lot to learn from him.
Well, specifically, I'm sorry. What specifically about his beliefs? Like, what was it that really appealed to you?
So when Genghis Khan went and conquered the Arab Caliphate or whatever that he did. So first he conquered, he got all the Mongols together, and then went and conquered. Let's back it up to the China incident, right? So in China, he united the Mongols, right? And there was the emperor of China died, and his son became the new emperor, right? And when that happens, they send out emissaries to go all these little vassal states. And technically, Mongolia was a vassal state, so they sent one up there to get Genghis Khan to pledge his fealty to the new emperor, right? Also, the guy rocks up to Genghis Khan's camp. He's like, "Hey, Genghis." It wasn't Genghis. I guess they were calling Genghis Khan at that point. But he's like, "Hey, look, we got the new emperor. It's the son." And he's like, "Which son was it?" And it turns out it was the fruitcake son. It was the son that weak beer, way into poetry, just a loser, right? He was a loser guy, right? So Genghis Khan turned and looked towards Beijing, spat on the ground, and he said, "There's no way that God will allow a man of such caliber to be the emperor. Tell him I'm coming." And he turned around, and then that's when he launched his invasion of China, right? Just crushed them. He's like, I believe that I am a better man because I'm more aligned with divinity, And so this lesser man is like cannot stand against me. I will. So like there's things like that. Like he had such an ironclad belief in his ability, and it was backed up by his iron word. Like he was extremely disciplined about doing what he said and saying what he does. Like he was. There's so much. I could go on for a long time, but his vision about what he was trying to do, his belief in himself, and his almost divine right to conquer is something I greatly admire in Genghis Khan, for sure.
Yeah, and believe it or not, man, obviously not believe it or not, you've seen it in film and television. It's one of the reasons why I decided to sort of not move away from 100%, but sort of go on my own and create my own stories. Because, dude, I was getting these castings and stuff, and it was like the portrayal of men in film and television is insane. It's not good, dude, at all. And it's pretty apparent when you're even reading it and you're doing it, and you're just like, you want me to say what? You want me to do what? And put myself on camera? Like it's insane. Yeah. So reading those old stories, and that was very smart of you to go back to the 1920s and 30s. I really do believe that the best books really were written like before 1950.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I don't read that much. I listen. I'll go and read a book to solve a specific problem. I think I got the Genghis Khan book when I had like a road trip coming up, and I knew I was gonna be on the road for a while. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Modern day narratives, they seek to kind of alter that, manipulate that. So, yeah, I prefer to consume. If I'm going to be consuming any kind of story material, chances are it's from antiquity. It's from pre-terrible frames in the world, for sure.
For sure, man. Who was the biggest influence in your life in real life?
My biggest influence in my life in like real life, so outside of like reading about somebody.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of people that have influenced my life. I mean, I'd have to say my father. I mean, hands down, my father is probably the biggest influence on my life, for sure. Very smart man. He was able to see. He sees the world for what it is, and he's got a really good insight. And he has a way of connecting with people and influencing people when he speaks to them, where you can feel his genuine care for them and his strength of character. My dad's an amazing man, so I'd have to say my father, for sure.
Would you say that you are you modeling yourself after your father? Was that?
Yeah, in some ways, for sure. I've always obviously taken the best things from my father, and done the best to make him proud and happy. For me, my father is a man who always instilled in me the idea that I was destined for greatness, and I was supposed to go out. And I mean, Tate talks about this with his dad. My dad wasn't necessarily the same as Tate's father, but similar idea of like, hey, you have a duty to your bloodline. Like you have a duty to go out and be great and do amazing things. You are special, not in a you're entitled special, but in a hey, you're special. Go out and do the work. Go do what you need to do. So my father, for sure. In some ways I've modeled him. In some ways I've moved beyond certain things that he's done or thought. But like I respect my father and always will. Yeah.
And how was the relationship with your father changed, or how have you seen that relationship in a different eye now that you're a father, now that you have sons?
Oh, it obviously shifts a lot. When you're a young man, obviously you respect your father as your superhero when you're young. As you get older, you tend to you have to find a reason to break away. Like most young men, like when you're a teenager, you have to like find some way to criticize in some way something about your father so you can justify the break.
Sure,
it's a common thing. I mean, obviously it's not ideal or has to happen to a terrible extent, but when I was a young man going off new stuff, obviously there was like, I'm like, oh yeah, my dad, I love my dad, but I was way more focused on what I was doing. But when you have a son, it changes quite a bit. You appreciate. I mean, obviously I appreciate all the hard work my father did for me and for my family to provide us the life that he did, and his care and the lessons he provides. And you realize one of the crazy things about having a son is that they change so quickly. They grow so fast. You realize that your appreciation of time is like a fleeting thing that moves really quickly. Your appreciation of the moment increases a lot. So you start to realize, like I have so much time left with my father, but only that much. At some point he'll be gone, or I'll be gone, right? and you start to appreciate the time you have more with them and stuff like that. So obviously you gain a deeper appreciation for your father when you become a father, for sure.
Right. And your outlook on the world, obviously you have a family now. It sounds like you came from a good family that you're very appreciative of. How did you change when you took on the mantle? In essence, you became the king of your own household.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that I changed; it's just the mission just got way more important, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's your own individual self, you got things that you want, but I have a divine duty to uplift my sons into eternity, to set them up and give them to be the kind of man that they want to emulate someday, to go out and conquer and do great things, to make financial success happen, to make become the best version of myself possible, to create the most compelling version of the future that they can, so that they'll say, I want to be like dad, not like all these crazy people in the world. I want to live like dad because he's out there, he's doing amazing things, he's running around with some amazing people. He's living a compelling life for us. He's been able to succeed this and that and that. I want to be like dad. Oh, I don't know what these other weirdos are doing. I want to be like dad, right? And to give them the lessons, the mindset that they need to be able to be successful no matter what comes in the future.
Did you ever struggle with money at all?
Of course. Yeah, my family was never, financially like wealthy. Everything we were taken care of. We had the necessities, but we had everything we needed to be happy, wonderful, successful people, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously I start with money. Yeah, I've come up from the bottom. It's fun. I recommend it for people.
And what was your biggest shift? Or I think it was one of the crypto professors put like a mental model sort of tape out. And he was talking about that mental model. Like, what was the biggest shift for you? When did you know, or what process did you go through to switch from maybe struggling with money and being in that realm to being like, okay, this is who I am now. I'm now financially successful.
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me was shifting to an abundance mindset, which sounds so cliche. That sounds so cliche.
Well, can you define that? What does that mean?
Yeah. So most people, you grow up, and I mean, it's funny because I just got done with a call with some of the Husher University guys, and we were talking, and one of the kids was like, hey, I've got this client. They sell a $700 product. Will I ever be good enough to write a sales page to sell a $700 product? I was like, $700? Like, that's it? Like, is it like one session or what is it? He's like, no, it's a fitness trainer. It's 3 months of this. And I'm like, dude, that's a cheap product. That's crazy cheap. Like, he should be selling that for $7K. And we were talking about how like 700 is like nothing. Like it's peanuts compared to any kind of real value. So it's nothing, right? And it was interesting. And then I was thinking about it. So maybe that's why I answer this, because it's so fresh on the top of my mind. But dude, when you're coming up from the bottom and you're like watching, you're pinching your pennies, you're counting this, you're not eating out, you're doing that stuff, and you're like, little money means so much to you because your margins are so low as an individual. It gets scary, man. You think that it's going to be some sort of, lots of money seems like almost inconceivably difficult to get. But when you start to believe and realize that there is money everywhere, there's lots of money going around. Like there is a lot of opportunity, and if you can help people solve important problems, you will get rewarded with a lot. And just believing that there's plenty of money, and it's, as long as you're willing to do the work, you can get it. That's what shifted. And once you believe you have control over it, because before, like when it's not abundant, you think, like it's going to be really, really difficult. I can work a lot, and not much is going to happen. That's what a lot of like poor people think, or at least like that's the fear that you have when you're first starting out. But once you believe, hey, there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of people with money. There's a lot of people with problems. And once you become really confident in your ability to help them, then you're just like, I'm just going to do the work and get it. Like there's people out there who are dumber than me, who like don't know what I know, who are like less effective at solving problems, who make more money than me just because they've gone out and asked for it. They've gone out and taken it. So what I've learned, as I've shifted to, hey, there's a lot of money out there, and I'm just as smart as anybody else. I'm good at this, and it's a good thing for me to go out and take as much as I possibly can. Breaking away from some of those, society's narratives that you've been told since you were a little kid at school. But once that shift happened, then it was all in my control. Then it was just, okay, if I want this, I'm going to get it. I'm going to go out and do the work I need to actually get it. So that's what shifted it for me.
That's good what you said. It's a good thing for me to go out and get it.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's been my biggest Achilles heel, is sort of like, is this a good, like, I didn't realize it, but I actually believed it was bad to be, I wanted it, but I believed it was bad to be rich or to go out and get it somehow. Like there was like some weird thing. And then obviously listening to Tate, being in Hustlers University, being around you guys and realizing like how great like the guys are in there, man. It's like, what am I talking about? Like, none of that is true. You know?
And a big part of that, and just to elaborate on that point a little bit, so much of the time you perceive it, and all you really think of is like, I'm taking this money from them. Like they're giving me this money. Like people are going to give me all this money, and that feels almost like you're stealing it. Like when you just think of that side of the equation. But anyone that's successful in business understands that there's an entire other side of the equation where you're providing a significant amount of value to them, right? That far exceeds the money that they're giving you. The only reason they gave you money in the first place is they thought you were going to give them something that's worth more to them than that money, right? So in their eyes, they're stealing from you. They're taking more from you than they're giving to you, right? In their minds. So it's all flip-flop. Once you understand the full perspective and realize that, hey, if I'm being paid $1 million, it's because I provided $10 million in value, right? Once you understand that that's the shift, then you're not taking anymore. You're serving. You're just this kind, wonderful person that's giving people $10 million worth of value and just taking one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where do you think people get hung up though, or guys get hung up when they don't see it that way, when they only see the first side of the equation?
It's just like, why do people just think of that and not think of the other side?
Right.
Yeah, well, a big part of it is like, people aren't encouraged to believe in themselves these days, right? And believe in the quality of what they're doing. If you actually, go around saying anything that sounds like you're too confident in your own abilities, people tend to, they received negative attention from that when they were a kid in like third grade or something like that. Right? So they tend not to do it, right?
Yeah.
But once you realize, hey, no, I'm actually providing significant value. Once you're confident in that, it's really more about just choosing to be confident. Once you choose to be confident that you're actually providing amazing value for people. And a lot of that is when you make a promise to yourself that, hey, I'm going to talk big, I'm going to make a big promise, and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to work like a madman to make sure that I meet those expectations or even give more value to that promise, right? Once you decide to do that, then when you actually go through that process of putting in the hard work, dude, you know that you're giving them a great deal. You're like, dude, I'm giving you amazing things. I just took your business from, you made like low six figures to I just had you break $1 million in the last 3 months. Like, you know you did the work, so you know it's worth it, right? And even on a smaller scale, as long as you say you make a promise to bring them value, they agree to pay a price for that, and then you're willing to do the work to bring that in, dude, it's a choice then to become confident, right? To become confident. And a lot of that comes from like knowing that you did the work. But yeah, ultimately it's a choice.
You talked about when you were, I guess, first starting out, you listened to the Andrew Tate video about like beating depression and success and da-da-da. So I've been listening to that video like 15 days in a row.
Good.
Since you made that comment, actually, I think it might have been last week or the week before that. And that's one thing he talks about. He goes, the world doesn't like you to have conviction. It does not want you to talk about how good and amazing you are. And he goes, that's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Yeah. So what was your biggest like fuck up, and how did you recover from that?
I'm trying to think. I really haven't had many. I mean,
really?
Probably the biggest. I mean, probably if I was going to say like my biggest mistake is I dreamt of a big future without putting in the work to get it for a long time. I wouldn't say like I had like a big disaster and messed up my life ever. No, I mean, I always was able to manage and be, at least above average in most metrics, right? But there was a long time. I mean, I always wanted to have a lot of money. I always wanted to work really hard and like build something amazing. I wanted to do great things. I wanted to be in amazing shape, be a strong, capable man, but I wasn't putting in the work for it, right? I was just kind of bebopping along my life. So I'd say it wasn't until I'd say that was probably my biggest mess up in my entire life was wasting time, not living at full throttle, actually chasing my goals, not just talking about them, but chasing them, making them happen, hitting that goal and then moving on to the next one with full force, ferocity, speed, and fire blood. Yeah, I'd say that's probably my biggest mistake so far.
I like that, fire blood. And when did that switch happen for you?
Right around the time I found Tate. So obviously it's a gradient thing. There was before that, probably a year or two before that, I got really serious. I was like, dude, your life is going to end if you don't nothing's going to change unless you change it right now, right? I wonder who said something like that before. And then I did everything I could to improve it, right? There's lots of influencers out there. I was a big Jocko fan for a long time. I joined the National Guard looking for brotherhood, looking for people to surround myself with, a lot of different things. But yeah, I just decided, okay, it's time to actually make it. And I think, okay, here you go. Here's the turning point, because I can actually remember this. This is actually a specific moment in time. So do you remember Les Mis? Oh, not Les Mis. That's that stupid musical. Hamilton. You remember Hamilton?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it came out. It was really popular. The music was fun, right? And I listened to it. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I read the guy's biography, though. This was years and years ago when Hamilton first came out. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I really, really identify with this man. Like, I identify a lot with this Hamilton character because he was driven, he was hungry, and he was pushing forward. And that was something I had actually suppressed for a long time. Like in high school, you better believe that was me. Like everyone who knew me in high school would agree that Andrew is driven. He's a little bit crazy, and he's gonna do some crazy cool things in life, right? I went to my mission, went to college, and like got married, and like in those few years, like going out into the world and like going to college, right? Good college, but like went to college, it tends to like the programming kicks in, right? It tries to solve you.
Hard.
And so like to move through that world effectively, I kind of toned down my that vibrant energy or that drive.
Right.
And I remember like going through like the Hamilton stuff, and there's a few other things I was going through, and I was like, wait a second. This is actually who I am, and this is a good thing. This is like core of who my personality is. I've let it be quiet for too long. No longer. I'm going to push forward and become the best version of myself I can. It's time to actually take life and bend it to make it, to force it to give me what I want. Like I will make what I want because I am cut from the same mold as Hamilton, as Genghis Khan, as Alexander the Great, as all of these men in the past who decided, you know what? I'm going to achieve this great big dream. I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to put in the work to earn it, right? So once I realized that, it was just a ticking time bomb until it actually happened. Because at that point, yeah, hit brick walls, figure things out, try this, it didn't work, try that, didn't work. Went down this blind alley for a second, and yeah, I've continued and been able to find a really good path for myself to move and surround myself with other men like that and move forward towards this kind of bright, beautiful future version of myself.
Yeah, man, I love what you said about this is actually who I am, because I think that moment and you giving yourself permission to say that this is good, because other people can tell it to you all day long, but until you actually decide to say down, this is actually who I am, this is good, and this is who I'm going to be, there's nothing will change for you.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that led me understanding that. It's like that thumos, it's that feeling of fire and energy that you feel when you're like that righteous, driving, powerful force. Like chasing that feeling has been an important thing for me. Yeah, there's a lot of things along the way that help sort of unlock that or open that back up for myself. But yeah, I mean, realizing this is good. It's a key step.
It sounds like it's the essence of virility, like masculine, man's masculine power force for sure. I mean, dude, I was in theater and film. There's nothing more, I should say, feminized than that world. And definitely, if you want to get cast, you can't say or do the things that you actually feel like you want to say and you want to do, because the world's just they're not gonna go for it. So
that's a really tricky position to be in.
Yeah, it was a tricky position, man. But you know what? It was like I made a choice. I said, you know what? This is something that I want to do with my life, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. But it got to the point where it was just too much. Like being around guys like you, being around all these other guys, talking to guys like Arnold, being in Hustlers University, it's far more satisfying for me, and it's far more, it's far healthier, honestly, to be honest with you, to do that. So, what do you think the pillars of masculinity are, if you could define them?
Pillars of masculinity. I mean, obviously. So you say that, and I immediately fire up the Jack Donovan book, right? Like with the core elements of masculinity he talks about in The Weight of Men. Those I think are very important.
Yeah.
Obviously, the defining characteristic of man is, I have to say, it's courage. It's bravery, nice. Right? And bravery is a complicated concept because it's motivated by love and duty. Duty and love are the same thing. When you love yourself, you love your family, those that came before you, those that are going to come after you. It's easy to be brave. When you love your brothers that you're standing to the left and right of you, like that type of brotherly love. I'm not talking romantic love here. I mean, sure, that plays a part, but I'm talking about like true love.
Fraternal love.
Yeah. that's the driving force. That's what allows you to actually be courageous. You love yourself, you love others, you're true to yourself, you're just, you're correct, you're righteous. You're trying to be correct, be divine. It's easy to be brave then. It's easy to do the right thing. It's easy to drive yourself to do what's right, even when you don't feel like it, because that kind of love, that kind of pure, that kind of pure actual love, and that's what drives courage. And I think that's courage, which is like stepping up and doing what's right, going to the face of danger, doing hard things, achieving goals, creating that vision of the future, protecting those you love, winning. That's all driven by courage, and courage is just a function of love. So the core of all masculinity is love. Surprise, surprise. There you go. There's my counterintuitive belief of the day for you.
I love, and it sounds like it's the masculine love, where it's not about the fifis. It's about honor and duty and a higher ideal. How do you stay on that path though without falling off?
What do you mean?
Meaning, we're human beings, right? We're fallible creatures, right? And so, yeah, you have responsibility. Yeah, you do love your family, and you have a duty to do the right thing. But there are days where you may not. It may be off a little bit. How do you stay on the right path? How do you stay doing the right thing and making sure that you honor your commitments to your family without getting thrown off, without getting distracted?
That is just a decision, my friend. That is literally just a decision, and training yourself to see things as what they really are. When you see social media as like a betrayal of the trust of those that you care about, a betrayal of your bloodline, because you have something much more important to do, and you know that there's some version of you in the world that would actually do that correctly, and it becomes a lot easier to do what's right. I'm sure, like, I'm not perfect. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I've never made mistakes, but falling off the wagon, no, not anymore. I'm too driven. I've got too much purpose, too much energy driving me forward. I can't do anything but the right thing at this point.
That's great. That's what Andrew. It's one of the things he talks about speed. He goes, if a plane's engines fall off, it's still moving forward because it's got so much momentum.
Yeah. And that's something that most people don't allow themselves to build in their life, right? Like, most people, they do these like weak attempts at improvement or weak attempts at doing stuff, and it's like you're starting a big. I remember I read a business book once. It was called Good to Great. And it talked about these great organizations, companies that like done really well. And he made this idea. He talked a lot about systems and stuff like that, but he spoke about this. What do they call, like a flywheel? Like, like those big heavy flywheels that that they use in like the mills, or they in the river. They'd have like the river like powering this thing, and it would spin this big heavy stone, and that's what would like power everything. So a flywheel is like a big heavy circular device that you spin up to get momentum, and that momentum is able to carry it through, right? So in life, people make little feeble attempts and they try to get this thing started, but they never reach a higher RPM or even one whole rotation before they give up and go somewhere else. It's really difficult at the beginning, but once you put in the consistent effort and you make it who you are, you put in the systems in place, and you just consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, do what you need to do. You do the work. Pretty soon it builds momentum, and then it's easy to keep going or to speed it up, right? That speed and momentum are a factor that most people never even get to experience because they give up before it even gets going, right? So I recommend in life, if you want to be successful, if you want to achieve something, put in the hard work and build it up until you're starting to feel the momentum pushing you forward, and then keep going, add more, make it go faster. That momentum, that relentless speed keeps you from falling over and making mistakes. You're too busy moving forward. You're being propelled forward, pushed forward into the future.
I love it. Why do you think then people don't have that sort of, they don't ever come in contact with that, I guess, mental framework?
Because they're cowards.
Nice.
Because they're too scared. They come into contact with pain and frustration and difficulty, and they forget the duty they have to themselves and those they care about, and they wuss out. And they go back to societally acceptable excuses and distractions. Fire up Netflix. Sit around and watch the, I don't know, whatever. They waste their time. They waste their time doing like stupid stuff because they haven't developed the habit of pushing forward towards their goals. When they encounter pain, just pushing through it anyways, right? Not necessarily pain so much, but like when they encounter difficulty or challenge or struggle, it becomes now a habit for me. When I encounter that, I lean into it and I beat it. Sometimes I'll circumvent it and like still achieve the goal by like sidestepping it, but I push forward and I solve for yes and I find the answer. It's a habit now. And most people just never get that point because they've never had to, they've never felt the kind of drive to do it. And frankly, the world presents a really easy alternative, which is check out, become a vegetable, numb yourself with substances and cheap entertainment. Not for me, my friend. I've got too many people depending on me. I've got too much of I have too strong of a conviction of my divine imperative to move forward, to do anything but find struggle, push through it, become a better man, and keep going.
I love it, man. Yeah, there are 1,000,001 ways to distract people now.
Yeah, of course.
And it's never been easier. Before at least you had times of meditation, you had times where you could turn things off or whatever, man. But now it's just like it's always in your face. What are some inviolable laws of men?
As far as like things
like laws that men should never break when interacting with other men.
When interacting with other men? That's interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot of context there. I think if you were to ask me what's like the number one in like the law of masculinity you should never, ever betray, and that is you should always, as a man, you should always maintain your self-respect. There's nothing more valuable in this world than your self-respect. Once that goes, everything else crumbles apart. Relationships, your own like success, everything dies if you let your self-respect go. Maintaining your self-respect, doing the things to earn that self-respect, and choosing to have self-respect even when it's scary, that is the number one thing you should do as a man, 100%. And then other men will feel that, and they'll treat you accordingly. You'll treat yourself accordingly. You'll do the things you need to do accordingly. Women will treat you in a really favorable way if they know that you have self-respect. That is, for me, number one, 100%. Never betray your self-respect. Always maintain and support your self-respect.
I love that, man. Yeah, I mean it's true. Women and men, everybody feels that stuff, right? Because nobody wants to be around somebody who really doesn't respect themselves, who abases themselves on a consistent basis, man. When it's all said and done, what do you want your tombstone to say?
My tombstone? I don't think it matters. First of all, my tombstone will mean very little.
Well, then your legacy
a little bit differently. Yeah. So okay. I'm gonna answer this question a little bit differently. I'm gonna tell you what I hope my sons remember about me. Right. I have two sons. Right. Those are my two children. I hope that my sons can always remember their father and the lessons he taught them, and it be a source of inspiration for them to be happy, to be driven, and to be strong in the face of adversity. I hope that they're always able to use me as a touchstone for that. That's for me the most important thing. That's the legacy I want to leave for my sons, right? I want them to remember me as the man who loved them enough to teach them and give them the most valuable things he could. That's the mindset that I have, right? The mindset that they need and the worldview they need in order to be successful, to survive and thrive no matter what weird things happen in the future, that they'll be able to come on top and win no matter what. That's my most important. That's my legacy. That's what I want on my tombstone. I'd rather have my tombstone engraved in their hearts than on some piece of stone somewhere. But yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. Andrew, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I think that this has been really great, really valuable. I wanted people to see you, to meet you, to be exposed to you and your ideas, because they're really valuable. And I thank you for all the effort and energy that you put into us and helping making us rich and powerful.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. I'm like I said, like there's a lot of people who've influenced me. There's a lot of people that helped me out. There's almost nothing I enjoy more than helping other people the way I've been helped. So yeah, happy to take the time to talk to you. Happy to keep helping people inside Hustlers University, wherever I might be. Always happy to help people out, achieve the life they were born to. We were all born. We have a birthright. It's up to us to get it. I'm here to help you find it. So
100%. Well, guys, if you want to get more knowledge and more wisdom from Andrew, join Hustlers University. The guy is a beast, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you. All right.
Thanks, Laris.
Peace, guys. Later.